And before you go, don't forget to support the channel, hit like, press subscribe, and join the Kindness Journey Hub family. Together, let's spread more kindness, more compassion, and more real stories that remind us we're not alone. Don't leave, you're the only one who came. The single dad CEO held her hand on blind date. The moment she stepped into the softly lit restaurant, Maya felt her heart stumble. It wasn't nerves, at least that's what she told herself. She was used to disappointments, she was used to walking into rooms where people looked at her, judged her, dismissed her before she even said a word. But tonight, as she stood by the entrance holding her small handbag a little too tightly, she whispered to herself, maybe this time will be different. Yet she didn't believe it. Not really. She scanned the tables, searching for the man her friend insisted she meet on this blind date. She didn't even want to come, but her friend pushed her, saying Maya deserved something good for once. But the table number she was given was empty. Her heart sank before the disappointment even fully formed. Of course. Another no-show. Her throat tightened. She wasn't surprised, but it still stung. She took a slow breath, forcing herself to keep standing even though every part of her wanted to turn around and walk straight back out, and that's when she heard it, soft, hurried footsteps, then a breathless voice behind her, please, don't leave. She turned, startled, and for a moment forgot how to breathe. A man stood there, tall, slightly out of breath, dressed in a charcoal suit that looked like it belonged on magazine covers. But it wasn't his looks that struck her. It was his eyes. Tired eyes, kind eyes, eyes that seemed to be carrying a universe of weight. And in his hand was a small pink hair clip. You're the only one who came, he said quietly, almost like he wasn't sure he deserved that kindness. I'm sorry I'm late. Maya blinked, confused. It's all right. He smiled with a mixture of relief and apology. I'm Daniel. She had no idea that this man, this gentle stranger, was the CEO of one of the biggest tech firms in the city. She had no idea that he had spent the last hour trying to calm his sick daughter, that he had rushed out leaving his board meeting early, that he didn't even believe in blind dates but agreed to tonight because his 6-year-old daughter begged him to find someone who smiles like mommy used to. All Maya knew was that he looked like someone who wasn't pretending. And that alone made her stay. They sat down, and for a moment the world around them blurred. Daniel apologized again for being late, gently placing the tiny pink hair clip on the table as though it explained everything. Maya noticed how he kept glancing at it, like it anchored him to something fragile. Rough day, she asked softly. He let out a low laugh. Rough year. Actually, rough few years. She didn't press. She simply listened, and that's what made him open up. He told her about his daughter, Lily, about her stubbornness, her sweetness, her way of dancing even when she was sick. He told her his wife passed away 3 years ago in an accident, and since then he had been a single parent, trying to balance responsibilities that never seemed to end. I didn't want to come tonight, he admitted. But she said I should try to meet someone who makes me smile. I didn't think I'd actually show up. Maya stared at him, startled by how real his words felt. She wasn't used to men being this open. Most people she met carried walls so high she couldn't see over them. But Daniel, despite everything he had been through, spoke with an honesty that made her chest ache. She realized, strangely, that she didn't want the night to end. As the evening went on, they talked about small things, big things, ridiculous things that made them both laugh. It had been so long since Maya heard herself laugh freely that she almost didn't recognize the sound. But Daniel noticed. His eyes softened every time she smiled, like it meant something to him. But beneath her soft laughter, Maya carried her own wounds, wounds she never shared with anyone. She had grown up unwanted by her own family, bounced from house to house, and learned very early that she was always someone's afterthought. She worked hard, lived quietly, avoided love because love always seemed to be something that belonged to others, not her. And tonight, even as she sat across from a man who seemed genuinely interested in her, she whispered in her mind, he's out of your league. Don't fall for something that isn't yours. But then Daniel said something that broke her walls in an instant. You look like someone who's had to be strong for too long. She stiffened, caught off guard. Why do you say that? Because I know that look. I see it in the mirror every day. Something inside her loosened. Just a little dot by the time dinner ended, neither wanted to say goodbye. They walked outside together, the cold air brushing gently against their skin. Daniel hesitated, then held out his hand. She looked at him, confused again. I know this is a blind date, he said softly. I know it's supposed to be awkward and uncertain. But I felt something tonight. And I haven't felt anything in a long time. Maya swallowed, emotions heavy in her throat. He held her gaze like he was trying to memorize her. Then he gently took her hand, not forcefully, not with assumption, but with a tenderness that made her knees weaken. Don't leave, he whispered again. Not yet. She didn't. The next few weeks unfolded like the slow opening of a fragile flower. Daniel introduced her to Lily carefully, afraid of confusing his daughter or overwhelming her. But the moment Lily saw Maya, she ran toward her, not away from her. You're pretty, the little girl said, touching Maya's face with small curious fingers. And you smile like angels. Maya's throat tightened. No one had ever said something like that to her. Daniel watched the scene unfold with astonishment and hope. Lily quickly grew attached to her. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt wanted. Needed. Seen, but not everyone approved. Rumors spread inside Daniel's company that he was dating someone ordinary, someone not fit for his status. Even Daniel's mother disapproved, believing Maya wasn't polished enough, rich enough, connected enough. One afternoon, those words found their way to Maya's ears. She overheard colleagues whispering that she was just a charity case. The words hit her harder than she expected. All the old wounds, the feeling of never being enough, opened again. She convinced herself she was only hurting Daniel's reputation, hurting his daughter's future. Without telling him, she pulled away. Stopped answering calls. Avoided him. She convinced herself it was better this way. Better to break now instead of later. Better to leave before she was left. But Daniel wasn't a man who gave up easily. When days passed without hearing from her, he grew worried. When a week passed, he panicked. He showed up at her apartment, breathless, shaken, holding that tiny pink hair clip in his hand as if it was his last piece of hope. She opened the door reluctantly, eyes puffy from crying. Daniel's heart cracked the moment he saw her. Maya, what happened? Why did you disappear? She looked away. You deserve someone better. Someone from your world. People are talking. They're judging. Your mother. Before she could finish, Daniel stepped forward and cupped her face gently. His hands were warm, grounding, certain. I don't care what they say. His voice trembled with a mixture of anger and desperation. I don't care about their opinions or my mother's expectations or society's stupid rules. He took a deep breath. I care about you. I choose you. Her tears spilled over. But why? Because, he said, voice breaking, you're the first person who has seen me. Not the CEO. Not the businessman. Just me. And my daughter loves you. And he paused, emotion rising thick in his throat. I'm falling for you, Maya. Please don't walk away from us. The word shattered her completely. She collapsed into his arms, sobbing into his chest as he held her tighter than anything he had ever held in his life. For the first time, she realized she wasn't alone. She wasn't replaceable. She wasn't unwanted. She was loved, and deeply. That night marked the start of their real journey. Daniel stood up to his family, firmly defending Maya and telling them she wasn't going anywhere. His mother, seeing his determination and the happiness glowing in Lily's eyes, slowly softened. Even the people at his company eventually learned that judging Maya only made them look small. Maya, for the first time in her life, found a place where she belonged. A little family of two who welcomed her with open arms until they became a family of three. The night Daniel proposed, he did it in the simplest, most meaningful way. He held her hand, just like he did on the night they met, and whispered the same words that changed everything. Don't leave. Stay with me. You've always been the only one who came when it mattered. Maya said yes through tears, and Lily, wearing her tiny pink hair clip, cheered louder than anyone. Their story was not a fairy tale, it was a journey of broken pieces finding each other, of choosing love despite fear, of healing old wounds through new beginnings. In the end, Maya learned the most important lesson of all: you don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be brave enough to stay when someone finally chooses you. And for Daniel, loving her wasn't just a choice, it was the moment he finally came home.